Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I just did a video for Instagram Live about merging with the inner child, and I felt it would be very significant to share that information with you as well for Wisdom Wednesdays. So, where to start? So I did a soul retrieval. And this story is really about my personal journey and merging with the inner child, and to give some insight on how you may be able to do the same thing. So about 2 years ago, in like the summer of 2017, I did a soul retrieval. I go to a healer out here who's also a shaman, and literally every time I have a reading, I always go to her. She's a wonderful spirit, and I adore her so much and appreciate her so much. So I had only done one other reading with her, and that was a galactic reading, basically seeing your galactic origins and what energies influence your life currently. And that was insightful, and that was kind of like to test the waters to see if I was ready for that step. After my first reading, I have an Egyptian deck, the Isis Oracle deck, and I asked, what does my healing journey need at this moment? And it said soul retrieval. So of course I went and did a soul retrieval. So when I went, she had me lay down. It's kind of similar to a Reiki session. You lay down, or you can sit for Reiki too. They lay hands lightly or don't lay hands at all. It's really up to the preference and if the person's comfortable or not. But she had said the fragment of myself that was missing, because basically what a soul retrieval is when you deal with something traumatic, a part of yourself leaves and goes up to the cosmos in order to, preserve yourself, preserve your soul, and preserve your energy. Some people do need more than one soul retrieval. Some people only need one. That varies on the person and their own healing. So with my soul retrieval, she had said that, because I'm in the room, she had the door cracked a little bit, and she said that it was me at about maybe 4 years old. Like, I was pretty young. And she said that she could see me in the corner of the room, kind of scared and timid. And as she's doing my soul retrieval, I'm kind of talking to that part of myself and telling her everything's okay, we can merge together, I'm ready for you, and I'm here with open arms to bring your energy back in. And then we went into detail about other past life traumas that I had that she was just clearing and healing up for me. So that was kind of my first experience with my inner child, I guess you can say. Recently, within the past few weeks, I'd say, I was reading a book on astrology and the houses of astrology. So when you're dealing with the wheel of an astrology chart, you're revisiting parts of yourself, right? And when I was studying it, I was reading each chapter, taking notes on each chapter, and some of the chapters spoke to childhood things, such as the third house, which deals with siblings, immediate education, your neighborhood community, and it can also deal with like cousins. And that night I had to dream about my cousins from my childhood. But as like adults and stuff. So it was just funny. And then there was another one, I can't remember what other house it was, but obviously the fourth house deals with parent or authority figures. So mom and dad. And my fourth house is Virgo, and my Chiron is in there. So there's some wounding there between, the way I look at it at least, is between my dad and I, because he was a Virgo. So I feel like that's karmic healing at play. But yeah, and just reading those chapters on the houses really made me go back and question my childhood and think about my childhood When did I feel like I couldn't completely express myself? When did I start feeling like the magic was gone from my childhood? I was very much into Disney and Barbie dolls and Bratz, and we would put on musicals and plays as kids. I put on, we did what was it? We did the Grinch play. So it was so much fun as a kid, like when I lived in Oregon, because I was born in Vegas and then we moved to Oregon. I can't remember how old I was, but then we moved back. Um, so then I was looking at that. I was looking at the difference of when I lived in Vegas versus when I moved to Oregon versus when I moved back to Vegas, and just how things had shifted for me within that time frame, and just kind of realizing the reality of some of those situations and the magic that kind of didn't get to be further explored. Um, Oregon was so magical to me, living near the woods, and we had it was always an adventure. And I feel Vegas really didn't provide that for children. There was no adventure. Vegas was I just feel like there was no magic for me here, um, as a kid at least. That's when we started kind of playing video games. We weren't really playing outside as much, and not that there wasn't complete magic, but it was kind of, you had to find it. You had to really truly create it. It just wasn't surrounding you like it was in Oregon for me. I also thought about childhood friends that, I had certain dreams as a kid, and there was one who completely shut my shit down, and I never visited that dream again until later years. But their opinion of me not being able to do it had really, really paralyzed that in my life and just completely ruined it for me. So I was like revisiting all of these things, and I was like, what the fuck? And just like analyzing it all and reflecting on it all. And, it made me cry. It was emotional, like thinking about all the magic that, like I said, in Oregon just was, and being that close to nature, and then moving back to some place that didn't really have nature like that. You had to go out and seek nature, and just the difference of the communities. It was drastic. It was a drastic change. And realizing that there could have been things in your childhood that maybe you didn't understand at the time, but now that you're an adult, you can look back and be like, damn, that was kind of traumatic. You're not thinking about it as a kid. At least I wasn't. Um, and I feel like that was because of my need to constantly have magic in my life. I feel like I held on to that as long as I could, until reality hit. And then, there's no magic, or you don't think there's magic. And at that time, I didn't. So one day, I come home from getting groceries, and in my kitchen, it's like my kitchen and then my dining room table. I don't have a table, but my dining room. And in the dining room, I see a figure. And lately, it's been becoming more and more prominent. Me seeing spirits. I don't know if that's a talent I had as a kid. I don't really recall or remember. But I've been starting to see like the aura of spirits, really. But it's like the more I dive into my spiritual journey, the more that outline of their aura gets grander. So like before, I could only see maybe an outline of a person, but it was very faint. So maybe it was like just their feet, or just kind of like the top of their head. But now it's kind of, that outline is growing, to where it's almost making a complete picture for me. So I see an outline of a little girl, and she has her knees tucked into her chest, kind of with her head down. And I already instantly knew that it was my childhood self. But this time she was much older. She wasn't 4 like it was in my soul retrieval. This time she was about 6. And I couldn't tell like what age she was yet. But I went over in that corner and just kind of like held my hand out for her to grab it. And in my head told her, it's okay. You're safe to be here. Um, I see you. And then that was that. You know, it was just very small. It wasn't very, oh my gosh, I feel like so much energy. It wasn't like that. It was just very, you're okay. Um, so then I went about my day. And then maybe a week later after that moment, I had cleaned my room and I was sitting in my room studying, laying on my bed. And there's like a hallway that leads to my bedroom. And all of a sudden, I'm like, there's also an air vent. So it's like the hallway, an air vent, my bedroom. Um, and I like see something and I'm like looking in the hallway because it's dark. And I'm like, am I fucking tripping? Like, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, because sometimes I'm like, all right, no, you're just tripping. Or I'm like, sometimes, yeah, you're seeing some shit. Um, so I like stare at it for longer to kind of allow the picture to come to me. And I see the outline. I see the outline of my childhood self. She had pigtails, and she had this blue dress on. And I call her over, and I just feel her walking towards me, and I feel her feet merge with my feet. And I just feel it's like she kind of like laid into me, so we just completely merged. And then that's when I felt all the energy. I felt just everything kind of like tingling, every chakra point tingling, and I just felt at home. And I just felt like I had just like given a hug to myself, and it was just so beautiful. And I was just so happy about it. I didn't cry, which was surprising because I'm an emotional little thing, trust me. Um, but yeah, and it just felt good to be whole again and complete again and have that aspect of myself where it belonged in the first place. Um, it was just a reconnection that was very much needed, and I was very grateful for. So I know that was a kind of long, drawn out story, but yeah. So that was the story of my inner child connection. So I'm actually going to do a part 2 video on how to connect to your own inner child and some of the ways that work for me and that I've heard others do, just to give you guys some inspiration if you don't know how to connect to your own inner child. So yeah, I'll be back with part 2. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll be back.